Hello, I'm Gary Lineker and welcome to my Reddit AMA. Got loads of questions, so let's get cracking straight away. Hi Gary, Alan Shearer said on Sunday he'd love to have been a striker in the current Brighton team. Which team nowadays do you think will get the most out of you? Well, I think that'd probably be Liverpool or Manchester City. They've got different styles, but I'd probably go... I think Man City because they get to the byline so often, but there's not a lot in it. Dear Gary, do you have to pay for crisps? Well, if I get them in a shop, yes, but I do get some sent to me. So in that sense, no. If Leicester win the championship, will you present Match of the Day in just a mankini? No. I wouldn't inflict that on anyone. It's getting almost 10 years on since then. I'm, getting an old man now. That'd be a grisly sight for you all. Hi, Gary. Throughout your time as a presenter, which football match has been something you love to go back to as if it's your favourite match to watch? Ooh, I'd probably say the World Cup final in Qatar, and particularly that extra time. It was extraordinary, wasn't it? It was all billed as the Mbappe versus Messi final, and those things normally kind of let you down, but it didn't. It really was that. Messi was unbelievable. Mbappe kind of single-handedly got France back into the game. He scored a hat-trick and lost. Messi scored in extra time as well as his penalty. Normal time, he went to a penalty shootout. It was just thrilling, and actually to be in the stadium as well was something really, really special. Right, next one. Hi Gary, what did you like the most about your time at Barcelona, and how different was it from your time in England? I think the overall experience of living abroad, it was kind of intimidating at that age. I was 25, I hadn't really moved around too much. So it was a little bit scary, but I couldn't have loved it more. It was a brilliant chance to kind of experience a different culture, a chance to learn a language, which fortunately I did. I went to school, 2-3 times a week, and to learn the language because I felt it was important. But probably my best memory would have been the hat-trick in El Clasico. That's something that's, has always lived with me as one of my absolute best memories in football. So probably that moment. Right. If you could give Alan one Micah trait and Micah one Alan trait to make them better pundits, what would you pick? Oh, well, if Alan could laugh like Micah Richards, that would be something. Which he does obviously on our podcast. The Rest is Football, and Micah one Alan trait. Know how to score goals. How about that? Do you regret never being booked in your playing career? Why would I regret that? No, not at all. No. Although in my last game, I did think maybe I should punch the referee and just kind of blow it in style. But no. I'm quite proud of that record, really. You're used to getting stick from the gutter press, his words, your words, not mine, for expressing beliefs that usually tie in with common decency, but are sometimes construed as being overly political. What advice would you give to up-and-coming English footballers who want to go public with social causes and activism, similar to Marcus Rashford's charity work, for example? I think it's quite an interesting question because I think I've been quite proud of the way young footballers have risen up in terms for social causes, social injustice. Marcus Rashford's obviously a good example of that with what he did with feeding the kids in schools and turning government policy and things like that. Elsewhere we've seen, during the pandemic, the kind of England captains, the England captain got together with all the club captains to try and do something for the NHS. We've had obviously many spokesmen like Raheem Sterling on racism in football. So I think there are loads of good examples. I wouldn't ever try and force anyone to do that as a player, though, because it's you have to be made of quite strong stuff. You need a bit of a thick skin. I've experienced it myself many times. But, it's also, if you've got a platform and you are prepared and brave enough to use it for what you think is for good, I think it's to be encouraged. And I love the way so many young players have spoken out. Hi Gary, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized Alan Shearers or one Alan Shearer-sized duck? Well, we've gone from a very serious question to I think we've gone from the sensible to the ridiculous. It's interesting, isn't it? 100 ducks would freak me out, especially if they're Alan Shearers. So I'll go one Alan Shearer-sized duck. Hi Gary, thank you for the podcast. I've been working on my sobriety from pretty heavy stuff, and day to day it can be hard to remain focused on staying clean, but the podcast always helps give me something to look forward to that. Well, thank you very much for that. I hope it continues to do so. My question to you, what's your biggest vice now? And did you have any vices whilst a professional footballer? Well, I would never admit to anything illegal, obviously. But my biggest vice, probably red wine or the odd Negroni. I do like I'm kind of a bit of a red and white wine connoisseur, particularly red. So probably wine. Thank you for keeping me laughing when things aren't easy. Truly appreciated. That goes with the last part. Absolute pleasure and continued success with your sobriety. Hi Gary, if you had to pick 3 English players to go to the Euros who hadn't been called up before, who would they be? Blimey, on the spot there. I think maybe Branthwaite from Everton. I think he's got a chance and it's just an area of the team that Gareth might give someone a chance. I know Cole Palmer's already been, I think, in the England squad and played, but so it doesn't quite count, but I think he's got a real chance of making the squad. And I will go with Kobe Mainu as the other one because he has impressed me so much. I mean, he's so young, obviously. I think he's just 18. So to do what he's doing is quite remarkable at a club like Manchester United. So I think he might sneak in. Gary, what's your pundit-only five-a-side team? I funny should ask that because someone asked that on The Rest is Football. I would certainly go, I think, with Peter Schmeichel in goal. He's done a bit of punditry. I've worked with him many times, and he was obviously one of the greatest in terms of goalkeeping. I suppose trying to get some balance to the team. So at the back, Rio Ferdinand, who obviously does a lot with TNT Sports now, and also with major tournaments with the BBC. He's brilliant. Alan Shearer would have to be in it. He'd kill me if I didn't put him in it. So there's 3, and then probably a holding midfielder. Roy Keane would have to be in there, and then maybe Paul Scholes. He does a bit. I think that's a pretty good team, not bad at all. Or maybe we could have had someone like Cesc Fabregas as well, who's done a bit, and I've just remembered someone. I've just remembered I could not have him not in the team. And I know I've gone past 5 players here, but allow me that, please. Thierry Henry, of course. No. Right. Hi, Gary. Which modern defender would you not want to face when you were a footballer? Virgil van Dijk. Because I love defenders that dive in, and Virgil van Dijk never dives in. He stays on his feet all the time, and he's very quick. And obviously he's a real athlete as well and intelligent. So, yeah, probably Virgil. How badly did you need that jobby? Jobby. Oh, does he mean shit? Is that a word for... Yeah, okay. Well, obviously quite badly. Otherwise I would have held it to the end of the game, wouldn't I? But I was, and he's got a secondary question. What did you eat before that game? I don't think it was food. I think I had a bug. I was ill all night, so I was really struggling. And then went just before the game. I thought I might get through 90 minutes. Didn't tell anyone because I wanted to play. And then it kind of got worse. I cramped. I got to half time and went again. And then I came out in the second half thinking I'll be all right now. And then 15 minutes into the second half, whatever it was, ball went down the left-hand side. I'm cramping up. I did a kind of pathetic attempt at a tackle, and well, the rest is messy, really. That's a good name for a podcast. The rest is messy. What if Lineker will do it? That'd be amazing. Anyway, let's change the subject from shit. Many young boys try to become footballers and most fail. At what point did you realise you were good enough to make it pro, and how did it impact your friendships with the other boys who didn't make it pro? Expanding on from this and putting modesty aside, at what point in your career did you realise you were going to be a very good player? Right. Firstly, I want to correct you slightly. When you say many young boys try to become footballers and most fail, I don't think it's a question of failure. It's a question of finding your level. So you can continue to play football right into adulthood at your own level and get as much pleasure out of it. Now, I know what you mean. You're talking about kids that are released perhaps by academies and football clubs, and that's a genuine issue and a genuine problem that they have to deal with, what I would not describe ever as failure, but they might feel that way. So I think it's important to say to them, firstly, that no, it's you are a good player. You will play at a certain level, and you will enjoy the game. I don't know. I never really thought I was going to be good enough. I always hoped I would, but it was always my dream. I was always really quick. I always scored a lot of goals, but I kind of developed very late. I didn't reach puberty until I was about 17, so I was kind of behind the kids mostly. So I didn't even get in the county side in Leicestershire. So when I was 15, 16. So I wasn't the best kid in training because I was tiny as well, but they obviously saw something in me, enough in me to give me the opportunity. But, you know, I remember getting into Leicester's reserves and sitting around the dressing room with some kind of old pros and thinking, God, this is going to find me out. And then I got in the first team and I felt the same thing. I'm playing alongside my heroes. So I think it was not really probably until I was approaching my mid-20s when I started really scoring lots of goals that I started to believe in myself. A little bit, really. So, which answers the last point of your question, really. When did you realise you were going to be a very good player? I think probably after I know this sounds ridiculous, but considering what I'd done at Everton, where I scored 40 goals, but probably after the World Cup, when I started to think I'm actually quite good at this goal-scoring lark. There. From that to a much quicker, easier answer, what's your favourite flavour of crisps? That would be salt and vinegar. Hey Gary, what's been your favourite goal in an England shirt and favourite goal for your club? Well, in the England shirt, I would definitely say, I mean, I wasn't a scorer of great goals. No, I scored a lot of goals, but I would probably go with the first goal against Poland in the World Cup in 1986. It was a classic striker's goal. Kind of got the ball in the build-up. It got knocked out wide, and I kind of just timed my run to get in front of the defender at a near post, gambling on a bit of space, because that is the secret of scoring goals. Don't wait to see where the ball's going. Gamble on where it might go. Every now and again, you'll be right, and when you are right, you'll have an easy chance to score. Scoring goals is a matter of probability, mathematics. So I did that and I got in front. And prior to that, I'd gone, 5 or 6 games without a goal for England. So if I hadn't have scored in that game, we'd been knocked out of the World Cup in shame, probably, because that's how it's judged with our press and media and even fans sometimes. So, but we managed to get through. I scored a hat-trick in the game eventually, scored 2 in the next one, and then 1 against Argentina in the Hand of God game. So it changed my life. And after that, I got a move to Barcelona. So I would have to say that one. My favourite goal for my club, my first one against Notts County would be up there. Way back when I was a young man. But scored in the FA Cup final for Everton against Liverpool, which would have been definitely my favourite club goal if we'd have hung on, but we managed to lose that game, so that won't count. It has to be in a game that I've won. I mean, another one, equalising against that was the England goal, equalising against Germany, but that would have been the same thing because we lost the game. So I would probably go with something. I will actually go with the best goal I ever scored, which was against Manchester United at Old Trafford. I cut him from the left-hand side past, I think, Paul Ince, and I kind of hit one and bent it with a bit of force right in the top corner from outside the box. I think it was the only one in my career that I can remember where it was a proper long-range shot. It was only just outside, but it was definitely outside. So I would definitely say that one, I think, yeah. Hi, Gary. You were one of the celebrities on the Chris Morris show, Brass Eye. How was the experience? Can you laugh about it now? Yes, I can. It was a kind of treacherous subject that they threw at me, and they did do me, or this whole thing was especially about trying to warn kids about paedophilia. It sounded like a really serious thing, and they asked me some really ridiculous questions, and their editing was quite clever. But I was caught hook, line, and sinker. It would have been very funny if the subject wasn't quite as obviously kind of sickening, but I don't mind. I don't mind getting the piss taken out of me occasionally. It's fine. What's the most obscure sport you enjoy watching? Ooh, obscure sport. I mean, golf's not obscure. That's what I watch. I watch a lot of cricket. That's not obscure. I'd probably go with. I mean, I don't think it's obscure. It is in some parts of the world, but it's growing as well in other parts of the world. That would be snooker. It's a sport that I not only enjoy watching, still do. I played it a lot. I started when I was 16, 17 when I was at Leicester, and I wanted to do something that got me out the bookmakers. At that age. So I started to go and play snooker every afternoon, and I became reasonably good at it. I was quite a good pro, a good club player, not a pro, I should say. And I had, I think, about 700 breaks. I got a 135 total clearance, which was exciting. I played against so many great snooker players. I played against Willie Thorne most days. He was my best mate back then, and Cliff Thorburn, Alex Higgins, John Parrott, Steve Davis, played against them all. Obviously they beat me up, but it was still a thrill to play against them. So yeah, snooker, if that is obscure, I don't think it is, but I can't think of anything else. What player reminds you of yourself the most? That's probably Messi. That's a joke. It's a joke. I would say, well, obviously, you have to be a goal scorer. I'm kind of like a mini version of Haaland. I'm not talking about the amount. He'll score more goals than me because he's got a bit more, about him. He plays in an unbelievably good team as well. But I see so much of myself in him. I see his desire and his hunger to score goals, which is absolutely paramount to being a top scorer. I see his speed, which I had. He's obviously a lot bigger than me, so he causes more of a threat in that sense. But his movement in the box is very similar. He gets it. He knows how to gamble on space. Sometimes it's difficult for him because a lot of teams play a really low block against City and have crowded penalty areas. But even then, he does still find those little areas, those little bits of space that he. So I would probably say him, if that doesn't sound too boastful. Hi, Gary. Alan Shearer here. Oh, yeah, really? 2 things, mate. 1, can I have that tenner back I loaned you? And 2, any chance you could help me paint the fence on Sunday? Any time after 11 would be great. I suspect that might not be Alan Shearer. You might be trying to take the piss out of Alan Shearer. But yes, he could give me that tenner back. I will give you that tenner back when I see you, although I have no memory of it. Well, yeah, I think we could get Michael Richards along as well, because he's kind of Mr. Creosote, tries to sit on the fence occasionally. He's had a bit of stick for that, particularly around the Harry Kane issue on our podcast this season. But we do have a lot of laughs, and obviously I would encourage all of you to join us on The Rest is Football whenever you get the chance, because we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of people on there that really enjoy it. We get amazing feedback. So be another one of those people, please. Hi, Gary. What has been the most entertaining game you watched this season? Oh, was it Man City, Tottenham 3-3? If it had been 4-3 at the end, someone sneaked a winner, that would have absolutely lifted it, probably to one of the greatest games ever in the Premier League. So a draw can, I don't ever think, qualify for that because you don't get that final moment. But if someone had scored a winner in injury time, that would have probably made it up there with. Although I think the Aguero goal will be the all-time one in the Premier League. Hard to beat that. Hey Gary, thank you to all three of you for the amazing podcast. I've gone from never being too invested in a podcast to never missing an episode. Well, thank you very much. High praise. Do you see yourself or Shearer as the superior striker in your primes? And as a lifelong Newcastle fan from Denmark, can you ask Alan to invite me over for a pint and a match? Alan, if you're watching this, please invite him over for a pint. And a match. I'm not sure in a match, but I think that might be a bit much. He's nearly as old as me, Shearer. You see yourself or Shearer as the superior striker in your primes? Well, obviously me. I mean, that goes without saying. Maybe not. I don't know. Shearer's quite good, actually. I mean, he could bang in. I think I was better in the box. I think he was better outside the box in terms of whacking him in from 30 yards. So... but I'm never going to say he's better than me, am I? I mean, really? Hi, Gary. What's it like to make Micah Richards laugh? Well, it's very easy to make Micah Richards laugh because he does it a lot. But it's such an infectious laugh, isn't it? I think it's enjoyed by a lot of people, including both Alan and myself. And long may it continue. How was Cruyff as an individual and in the management part of coaching a football team? Well, he was an unbelievably good coach, brilliantly clever. I mean, he messed me about, and we didn't have the greatest experience together. But I saw him many times after, and we get on as people. But obviously, he came in. I'd been at Barcelona for 2 years already. He came in at a time when I was A, ill with hepatitis, and B, when you're only allowed 2 foreign players. And obviously, I think he wanted his own foreign player in, or his own 2 foreign players in, but. So he messed me about by playing me on the wing all season, hoping that I'd kick up a fuss and throw my toys out the pram, complain, and the fans would turn against me. But I wasn't that daft, so I just got on with it, played professionally on the right-hand side of the team all that season. And we actually won the European Cup Winners' Cup, which was amazing. And I eventually had to leave, of course. I don't bear a grudge against him at all for that. I understood it. I just wish he'd come to me at the start of the season and said, Gary, we're only allowed 2 foreign players. I want my own, so we'll find you a good move, and I would have been absolutely fine with that. But no problem. But in terms of coaching, he was amazing. I mean, the whole Pep philosophy has come from that. The Barcelona academy. I mean, La Masia has come from the Cruyff kind of playbook, really, and the Dutch playbook that Cruyff would have learnt that from, or a lot of it. But it was all about creating space. You play a lot of 7 against 5s, 9 against 6s, and just trying to find the space. And it was all possession-based football that we played. Make the pitch as big as you can when you've got the ball, and as small as you can when you've not. But yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. Learnt loads from him. Hi Gary, do you suffer today any physical consequences from the intensity of playing elite football? Do you think modern football is more physically exerting than during your time? No, I think ploughing through thick mud is really physically exerting and probably more difficult than playing on beautiful pitches. I think you're perhaps more likely to get injuries on modern day surfaces because they're so firm. And I think that can perhaps pound your hamstrings. I'm no medical, this is just me guessing, by the way. I think it was quite hard to pull a hamstring on heavy mud because you can't move very quickly, but I might be wrong on that as well. But have I got any consequences from my playing football? Well, I've got a few aches and pains, but as I get older, I'm kind of one of the lucky ones. A lot of my the people that I played with, limp around a lot. I'm quite lucky. I've got a toe that gives me a bit of jip sometimes. My knees are kind of a bit worn, a few cartilage issues, and my back I suffer with from. But considering I played over 600 games, considering I trained, pretty much every day for 17 years, I think I've got off pretty lightly, and hopefully that remains the case. Touch wood. One club you wish you could have played for? Well, I played for the Barcelona, which was amazing. I'd probably go Inter Milan, which sounds a bit weird, but for some. But the reason is that I nearly did. And I was quite excited about playing in Serie A because that was the big league of the day, really. It's like the Premier League is now. Or La Liga was for a while, and, well, it still is a great league. So I would say Inter, and I met Trapattoni in Germany, secret meeting, because it was Terry Venables had been fired at Barcelona, and it was halfway through that season. And I was still playing okay and scoring goals, but they came to us, and we thought it might be quite interesting because obviously didn't know what the future would hold. But Barcelona wouldn't sell me at that point, so it didn't actually happen. And what happened then was they'd already got Andreas Bremer, who sadly I saw died the other day. I mean, I knew Andy Bremer really well. R.I.P. He was an unbelievably brilliant footballer and a lovely man. He'll be missed. Terrible news that was. So he played with Lothar Matthäus. And you were allowed 3 players in Serie A back then. And they went for me, but they couldn't get me, and they ended up signing Klinsmann. I think they went and, well, they definitely won a couple of Serie A's, and I didn't. Haha. Okay. Hi, Gary. Any advice on how to get lime scale off a draining board? Cheers. Yeah, bicarbonate of soda and white wine vinegar works. So you're welcome. Hi, Gary. No question, but just wanted to thank you for creating the KFC Ridged Crisps. Legend. Oh, thanks for calling me legend. Well, it's my pleasure. I went to a lot of trouble. I obviously designed the flavour and everything. Well, I didn't, but I'm glad you like them. Walkers will be pleased. And that's the last question. Well, that's it for my Reddit AMA. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for all your questions. And don't forget to listen to The Rest is Football if you get the chance. I'm sure you'll love it. But for now, goodbye.